Shit. All right.
Take one, Mark.
Hi, I'm Pedro, and welcome to Brex's 2025 summer release. When we started planning this release, we kept hearing the same thing from our customers, that they're constantly being asked to move faster and needing to manage more spend, more employees, and more vendors. Keeping it all under control is a nearly impossible task today. But at Brex, we believe that speed and controls should not be a trade-off. We focus this release on 3 key areas that make meaningful progress towards unlocking both: AI, the purchasing process, and policy and roles. First up, we're now using AI to automate all the data collection when it comes to expenses. And for the first time ever, we're training our models to work on fields and data that are specific to your company, such as project codes, so you don't have to type anything manually anymore. We also built a new accounting workflow automation surface that orchestrates the automation of every step of your month-end close process in Brex. Next, we took a look at how companies manage their purchasing and payment process, and we kept seeing the same issues: too much manual work, approval flows that don't flex, and fragmented systems. Now, you can easily create and send POs and automatically match the incoming bills to the right PO. And when you approve any spend request on Brex, you can set the payment method right then automatically now, whether it's a new purchasing card or even a PO. Finally, we made our policies and roles more powerful than ever. We're introducing a brand new policy canvas that can define your policy based on any fields or rules that you care about. We also extended custom roles in Brex to more places like bill pay, banking, and travel, so you can customize access and ensure true separation of duties. And now, for the best part, I'd like to invite the team who built these new features to come here and demo them for you. Let's take a look.
Just sit down.
Hey, hello, guys.
You know. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to have you here to talk about some of our awesome new features. I'm joined by Adrian from our accounting team and Antoine, one of our engineering leaders at Brex. We're going to start by talking about all the new and exciting AI and workflow automation features coming to your Brex dashboard. Let's start with AI expense suggestions.
Thanks, Michael. And I'm so excited about this feature because it helps both spenders as well as accounting teams. We've all been there. We spend money on our corporate cards, and then we're expected to provide some information on each expense, right?
Like memos, receipts.
Exactly. And Brex can actually already help you auto-generate those, but you'll often also have to enter additional information. For example, some companies require employees to enter GL codes, but it could also be which customer you're spending for, which project this expense is billable to.
Right, so for like project-based companies or even professional services businesses.
Exactly. So those are all additional fields that spenders typically have to fill on every expense, and it can get really, really painful. So now we've made our AI models work on over 400 different types of custom fields. Let me show you how it works. So I can go in my Brex dashboard and I'll load up an expense. And if I look at the fields I need to fill, I'll find the project code right here. And this is a very long list. So now with the summer release, as I click into project codes, the Brex AI will automatically suggest the right value for this expense. No more hunting and chasing in an endless list to find the right value.
Wow, how does it do that?
So the AI is trained on the history of all of your previous expenses in your company and only presents high confidence recommendations. It's also continuously learning to make every suggestion even more accurate.
I love that. Autocomplete for the expenses, so they have more information on the front end, which makes my life easier on the accounting side. This is amazing.
So this sounds like having an AI assistant giving you one-click answers. But is there a way that I can completely not have to fill out these fields?
So that takes us to the second feature we're launching in summer. We're now going to make it possible to auto-code any fields on an expense done using a purchase card or a spend limit that's tied to it.
Is this like creating the custom rules in accounting?
Exactly.
Perfect. This makes so much sense. We use those a lot to cut out a lot of manual work on my team.
Right on. So now custom rules are way easier to set up. I'll go in and I'm going to create a new spend limit or a purchase card. And you'll see that right in the flow, I can now add rules that will apply to every transaction in the spend limit. So as you can see on the screen here, this rule will trigger immediately for any expense on this limit. And I can now select the project code field to take back the same example and select the right value and save it. And done. And now every expense that will go on the spend limit will be auto-coded.
This is so much better than the previous option where we are setting rules on the back end after the spend limit had already been created. Like our offsite manager, for example, would give us the codes for the department that was supposed to pick up the expenses for an offsite, and we would have to go add that rule manually later. But now we can do this on the front end and completely cut that out.
Absolutely. So you do this in the creation flow. The nice thing about it is that if you still go to the automations page, you will find all of your rules living right there as well.
Great. So now what doesn't make sense is now that I have all these rules coded on the front end, I'm still having to go into accounting and manually select everything and move it to review and export.
Yes, so that's our third new feature. Let's go back to our accounting automations page. You'll notice that there's a brand new workflows tab. And this is huge. It's now possible to create automations that will automatically prepare and export expenses, cutting down significantly the time an accounting team would need to spend on closing the books. So let's say, as an example, that we auto-coded the expenses for our execs and finance teams. And really, this could be any criteria. I can now create a rule to automatically move those to the review tab. And then let's say that I like to auto-export to the ERP expenses that are not really material. So let's say under $75. Well, I can automate that too, and I'll choose the cadence, and they will go straight to the ERP.
So in my offsite example, I could select all the offsite spend limits and add this workflow so my team doesn't spend time manually moving all those expenses into export.
Exactly. They're auto-coded, and they will flow all the way to the ERP.
Great.
So let's recap all of the new AI and automation tools across the entire Brex journey. So first, for spenders, employees now get AI-driven suggestions on nearly every custom field on their expenses. When we're provisioning spend, you can now set up custom rules at the moment you create a purchase card or a spend limit, with all of your custom rules now living together in one place, the automation page. And then third, for closing the books, you can now automate accounting workflows all the way to your ERP. So your team only has to review a fraction of expenses.
This is great. I can see this improving our lives so much more at a month-end close and the regular review of expenses. Less reviewing, less chasing, just auto-coded expenses straight to the ERP.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And now we're going to switch gears and talk about purchasing and payments.
All right, how's it going?
Great. It's very exciting.
Good.
Welcome back. We've got some massive updates to purchasing and payments that we can't wait to show you. This release is packed with features that make managing all of your spend faster, smarter, and way more flexible than ever before. Let's start with requesting spend.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, we're really excited to show you what's new. So one of the biggest pain points we've heard from customers as they scale is the need for more control over how employees spend. So that's why we've made it much easier for you to issue different types of spend for each use case based on the specific needs of each situation. So now when your team goes to submit new requests in Brex, you can choose how to issue funds for that request using a spend limit like today, or using a purchasing card or even a purchase order. The best part is it's all in one unified workflow for you directly in your task inbox.
So teams are making the requests in the exact same way as before.
That's right. Your team submits requests the same way as before. They just all appear now for you as the admin under spend requests. So now you'll have a dedicated spend request tab where all of the employee submitted requests appear in one area.
Great. So admins and approvers are still in the driver's seat to decide how to fund the request, whether it's a P card or a PO. So say I wanted to issue a P card for a one-time swag purchase. I could do that, or a PO for more recurring invoice-backed spend.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And luckily, Sarah on your marketing team submitted a request for branded swag. So I'll go in, and you said you wanted to issue a P card for this. Mm-hmm. So after approval, you'll have the ability to select the spend method. So I'm going to go ahead and select P card. And once I go to issue that card, she'll get a notification that the request has been approved, and she'll have immediate access to the P card to buy the branded swag that she requested.
So P cards are great for one-time spend, but they could also be useful for recurring spend, say with like IT or the marketing team. So if I wanted to issue a P card for recurring monthly spend to the marketing team for Google Ads, I could still do that.
Yeah. Yes, P cards are perfect for that use case because you can restrict spend to specific vendors or categories like Google Ads, and they make sure that you can keep your spend controlled, predictable, and totally separate from employee wallets so that your business can stay running smoothly. So let me show you how that works. Now on cards and limits, card admins will have the ability to issue P cards directly from the main issuance workflow. So I'll go in and I'll select P card, and I'll make one for, you said Google Ads, right? So I'll give the name of the card as Google Ads, and I'll issue it to Carrie on the marketing team. And how much do you need per month?
Let's do 50K.
50,000. Okay, so 50,000 a month for Google Ads, and I want our procurement policy to apply. And like I said, the best thing about P cards is you can actually restrict to certain vendors or merchants. So under additional controls, under spend controls, I can toggle on restricting merchants or categories and only allow Google Ad spend for this card. So what that means is if someone goes to spend money on a car rental, for example, on here, it's automatically going to be declined and only Google Ad spend will be allowed on this card. So after I go to create this card, Carrie will then receive the notification that she has a new P card of $50,000 a month for Google Ads.
So while I might be comfortable with having P cards for the recurring ad spend, say I had an annual software renewal, I would much rather put that on a PO, and I could issue that through this same request.
Yeah, POs are great for procurement spend like software, because as a company grows, we often hear the AP teams like yourself need way more control and visibility over incoming vendor invoices. So POs enable that, where Brex automatically matches the incoming invoices to the POs on file, giving your business that extra layer of protection against any potential fraud.
So can we see how that works?
Yes, let's look at it. So now on the vendors page, you'll have the ability to create a new purchase order from scratch. So no toggling between systems, no integrations, just one unified workflow for PO creation.
Great. And if I wanted to issue like a multi-line PO, say we purchased software, but then there's also an implementation cost attached to it, I could still do it through this flow as well.
Easy. You want to do one for Figma?
Sure.
Okay. We'll select Figma as the vendor, and let's say you need 100 seats at Figma at $10 a seat. So that's that good. And then we also want to add the one-time implementation fee as the service. And let's say that's $500. Now I can see I have a total of a $1,500 PO. I can preview the PDF or the email of this PO.
So does Figma have access to this same PO?
You can always send it to them at any point in time, but we actually also allow you to do it directly from this creation workflow. So when I go to review the PO, we give you the option to check the boxes, also send a copy to Figma. And what this does is it'll send a copy to the email on file of the contact at Figma. And so I'll go ahead and create and send this PO. What's great is a copy of it will go directly to Figma. And you as an admin will also have the ability to view all open POs for Figma directly under the vendor details pane. We also didn't stop there. So we've also added automatic PO matching to incoming vendor invoices, which is super exciting. So let's say you just finished your implementation at Figma and you want to go send a payment to them. You've received your first invoice, which I'm going to upload in our standard bill pay flow. Brex is automatically going to extract the details from that invoice and match it to the PO on file for Figma.
Great, that really cuts down on the amount of manual work that my team would be doing to match invoices to POs. What if they send an invoice for a higher amount than we have on the PO?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. So we'll automatically highlight that information to you now, which we're really excited about. So right now you have $1,500 open on this PO, but let's say they sent you an invoice for $3,000, which is over the total PO amount. We would proactively flag that to you, just adding in that extra layer of control for your business.
That's great. And I'm also noticing a lot more custom fields that I've gotten used to in the accounting integration.
Yes, we have learned from our customers that they're doing a lot of work outside of Brex, which we want to change. So now we've dramatically increased how many custom fields we pull in from NetSuite into bill pay. And now you can code line items to any custom field in NetSuite, from GL account, department, location, you name it. And bills can finally match your data model in NetSuite.
And I see we now have the option to amortize this expense. So I could choose to spread the expense out across the year as it's an annual SaaS renewal.
Exactly, and that's especially useful for things like contracts, software, anything prepaid, so you can finally say goodbye to spreadsheets.
This is amazing. And as companies scale, procurement becomes much more than just approvals. It's intake logic, stakeholder routing, and compliance at every step.
That's right, and we're really excited because Brex integrates directly with Zip now, giving larger companies access to way more powerful intake and procurement workflows right from the start of the purchasing process. So you can get that robust logic that in the approvals that you need, but it's directly connected to Brex's payment platform.
So how does the flow work between Brex and Zip?
So now when an employee submits a new request in Zip, like office supplies, that request will follow Zip's powerful intake workflow. And once approved, a new Brex virtual card will be created. And you'll be able to see all of the virtual cards both in Zip and in Brex. So that really streamlines everything all the way from request through reconciliation for you and your team.
This is super exciting, because these are some very powerful end-to-end improvements. From request to reconciliation, this release is all about giving you more controls with less effort. And this is just the beginning. In the next couple of releases, we will have a lot more upgrades coming to purchasing and payments. Hi, Sean. Welcome.
This is so much fun.
Controls demo, take one, Mark.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Woo! We need this for later or something. Controls are one of those things that you don't notice until they're missing. But when they're built right, they make your entire financial operation run smoother. And in this release, Brex is going to give you more control than ever, with new ways to manage access, approvals, vendors, and risk. I'm joined by Adrian from our accounting team and Sean from our product team focused on controls, who will tell us about what we are shipping. Sean?
One of the biggest pain points we hear from our customers as they grow is that they need more access controls. One of the core changes we've made is that our permissions for our AP capabilities like vendors and bill pay are entirely role-based. That means every employee gets the right permissions from the moment they're assigned a role. So employees only have access to their own bills that they've submitted. Bookkeepers are able to manage bills across the organization alongside AP clerks and managers. And finally, the only people who are able to release payments are admins, card admins, and account admins.
Okay, I love that we now have restrictions so I don't have to worry about employees getting too much access. I have some department budget owners, though, that need to see spend across their department, regardless of who's spending, but not spend necessarily across the company. How would that work here?
I'm glad you asked. That's why we created the concept of vendor owners. So you can make anyone in the company a vendor owner, and they'll automatically get limited permissions to see a vendor, their bills, payments, and history, but only for their vendors. They'll only have access across the platform to do that one job.
So can I add multiple people as vendor owners?
Yeah, you can. In fact, you can add groups of people as well. Whatever works best for your business, you can set those groups up accordingly.
Not bad. So for more complex companies like ours, could I also give more granular permissions across other areas of the product?
Yeah, in fact, we've added support for billing, banking, rewards, travel, bill pay, and vendor management to our custom roles. So if you need somebody to book travel but not see payments, they can do that. Or if you need somebody to manage rewards without touching the cards themselves, it's now possible. Tell you what, why don't you give me an example and we'll create one on the fly.
Okay. Let's create a role for IT procurement.
Perfect. So here's an IT procurement manager. All right, so we don't need any accounting capabilities. How about spend? I'm guessing we need spend across the organization as well as budgets.
Yes.
And then reporting as well. Mm-hmm. And then within the AP side, do you want them to be able to view the bills and vendors across the organization?
Yes.
And then not editing or not managing payments, rather.
No, we'll leave that to my team.
Perfect. Done. So we've created the role. I'm assigning it to Ines, our procurement manager. And so now she'll be able to see all of the spend across the organization, catch any duplicate spend or any shadow spend, but she will not be able to release any payments to vendors. That'll be for your team only.
That's new. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the big changes that we made in this release is for our AP teams, we've separated the payment from the approval and bills. So the AP team can handle the approvals of the bills themselves, distributed out to other owners within the company, but only the finance team can actually release payments and only admins within that team can.
So we're reviewing and approving the bill separately now from choosing to schedule the payment.
Exactly. And this is on top of our existing rules and roles that enforce segregation of duties and bill payment.
Okay, so I was promised batch payments. Are we getting to that?
Of course, here it is. Okay, so we now support batching of payments at an entity and a currency level. When you don't have to worry about checking, releasing, or reconciling tons or hundreds of bill payments at a time. Let me give you an example. Here I have 6 payments that need to be scheduled sometime between June 17th and 20th. I'll schedule these payments. I can review them all to make sure that the payments are correct, the dates are correct, choose my account and date, and be confident that they're all going to go out on time. And it saves all of the time that I would otherwise be spending accounting, reconciling, and tracking every single one of those payments because we'll just see it as one within our batch.
This will make a big difference in how much teams are spending time on each of these tasks.
Exactly.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. Speaking of approvals and permissions, another major thing we've heard from a lot of our customers is around policies. So smaller companies typically want simplicity, while larger customers want flexibility. So we're excited to announce that we're doing both. So with our new policy changes, you are able to route, restrict, or flag transactions based on any field, amount, category, location, requester, and more. We've even included custom fields custom rules, and you can even use spend limits as targets or conditions for rules. There's almost infinite possibilities here. But to make it easier, we've even set up best practices. You can get the best practices across all of our customers within each of the different categories of spend that you typically work with.
It sounds a lot like the custom features we have in accounting already.
Exactly.
I would love to try this out. If I give you another example, can we build it?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Let's do one for that IT procurement role that we just created. So I want them to be able to see and review all SaaS spend across the company, like adding a compliance review step.
Perfect. Why don't we create a rule for that? Let's say if the expense type and category is software, either recurring or non-recurring. So we'll require a review from that role that we created earlier, the IT procurement role, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. Done.
So you can create really specific policies. It looks like you could target really specific problems as well.
Exactly. So let's take another example. Let's say that we have legal expenses that are billable. So I've created a custom field called billable. And for any expenses that are billable, I'm going to require an itemized receipt to make sure that my team is submitting them. And whenever I have to discuss this with one of our customers, then we have all the data in front of us. And on top of that, we've also added accrual support. So when bills are submitted, they'll automatically accrue in your ERP and we'll update them when they're approved and paid. The other thing we've done is we've added full auditability across all payments and vendor changes. So in addition to all of these additional controls, you can rest assured that every change that's being made is being logged to help catch errors and fraud before they occur.
We love an audit trail. And so even if the payment hasn't gone out, your books stay accurate. It's smoother closes, fewer surprises.
100%.
These new controls aren't just about safety. They're about clarity, accountability, and trust. With the right controls in place, your team can move faster and smarter with fewer roadblocks. This is what modern finance infrastructure looks like. Thank you so much for joining us. We are very excited for you to try these new features out.
I'm incredibly excited for what the summer release unlocks for you. Everything we ship at Brex is guided by our belief that high-performance teams deserve tools that match how they operate, and that you should never have to choose between speed and controls. With that, I can't wait for you to try out our latest release from Brex. Here is to breaking trade-offs.